Hey guys, Scott Patton here, and I've got my top baits for July. And what I'm going to talk about as far as the top five baits I guess I got for July is going to be mostly for fishing around grass, hydrilla and stuff like that, lakes that got vegetation in it. You can also use some of this and apply it to fishing shallow or like up the rivers and stuff like that, around laydowns and stuff like that, where you may not have as much grass, but you got some grass. But you know, I live here on Chickamauga, and there's a lot of lakes in this part of the country that's got grass in them. So in the summertime, you know, it's July and it's hot, and you know, it depends on where you live at if these baits will work or not. But in this part of the country, so I would say, you know, a 300-mile radius, either direction, north or south, these baits should work for you and put you some fish in the boat. So I'm gonna start out with Topwater. I throw it early in the mornings, and then I will also throw it on cloudy, stormy, rainy days. If you have that period of that, it seems like it's always best if you have 2 or 3 days of good heavy cloud cover and rain. That's going to make a good topwater bite for this time of year. But you can always catch a few fish early in the morning on it too. And I usually, probably my all-time favorite, I don't care where I've been, is Lucky Craft Gunfish. I love this bait right here. I believe this is a 115. Sometimes I'll change that front hook out to a red hook just to give them fish a better target, especially in clear water or even stained water, because they see that. And that way it seems like I get a better hook up instead of having a fish striking short. Something about that red just to draw some fish to it, and then they want to hit it, hit the area of the bait. A lot of times I'll fish this, so I'm going to throw it on like a 610 pound rod. I don't want to go something too long because I want to be able to walk this bait. It's easier to walk this bait straight down versus from the side. It's less stress on your forearm when you're doing that, guys. So if you haven't done that, you'll try a little bit shorter rod depending on how tall you are. But something like a 6'8" to 6'10" usually works the best. And a lot of times I use the same rod that's designed to throw a jerkbait with. You have to kind of play with the actions. I like a little bit stiffer action than I do with a jerkbait, but a stiffer tip than with the jerkbait. But that's something you want to make sure you got tied on for the month of July. I'm fishing over top of grass, around, you know, over stumps, fishing it on, you know, riprap can be real good too, and also and you know, at the ends and around laid down trees and stuff like that. So this is a Tennessee shad color. I probably like it best on the clear, you know, days where it's not overcast. They'll bite it when it's overcast too, but it seems like when it's cloudy and rainy, something like this bone right here has got that more solid bottom. They can see it better when they're looking up at it versus this color here, where they're looking up at it. It's better on clearer days when you may not have the cloud cover. Both of these baits, I've tied some on feathered hooks. Also on this bait, I put bigger hooks on it than what comes in a package. When I get a big fish on, I just want to get him in a boat. So you can modify these baits some to you know, for your liking. And like I said, I like putting a big tail feather on it. What it does to me, it makes it look like a bigger bait than what it is. But anyway, so Lucky Craft makes this bait in 2 different sizes, the 95 and a 115, if I remember right, guys, and both of them are good. But I'll throw it on 17 or 20 pound test monofilament, or I'll throw it on braid. So and if I want to throw on braid, usually around 40 pound test line. And the reason I like it on braid is because if I make a real long cast, you know, because it may not get way up on the grass bed without disturbing the fish, or up on a shallow flat, I like throwing the braid, because that way on long cast, if I get a fish hits it as soon as it starts walking, then I got good hook setting power with that smaller rod. The braid won't have the stretch, the monofilament will. So a lot of times, especially, you want to pay attention to that, you guys. If you're fish, you have to make a long cast. A lot of times it's best to use the braid over the monofilament, okay? So that's one bait that I definitely have tied on for July. And like I said, again, in the mornings in a cloudy, rainy weather, it's going to be good. Another bait that I'm catching fish on right now here on Chickamauga, and I've been on Nickajack and caught a few fish on them too, is going to be a frog, and I'm throwing a regular walking. I'll walk this bait, you guys. What I'll do is I'll walk around sparse grass and stuff like that, whether it's a popping frog or just a straight frog. I'll use both of these, and it depends on if it's dead slick out. A lot of times I'll use the frog that doesn't pop, because I can walk it like I do a gunfish or something, and then them fish eat it. So right now we're getting grass that's got, you know, sparse mats and stuff on them, not real thick mats, you know, kind of like where it may be thicker grass and it comes out and makes a little break, and then you got those little patches of grass that's already reached the surface. That's where I'm going to throw this frog at, you guys. So and if it's cloudy and windy, rain and stuff like that, then I will throw the popping frog, because I want it to make more noise. Again, I'm still walking this bait. If you haven't learned to walk a frog, you need to, guys. I'm throwing on braid. This is like a bluegill color. I'll go to, a lot of times I'll use a black, and then of course on this white is always good. You know, of course it looks like a shad, so it's going to be a good color anytime, you guys. So you know, had that frog tied on. I'm throwing it usually on 50-pound test braid, like a 7.3 pound rod is good. I like, you know, a little longer action, or not longer action, but a longer rod for that hook setting power. It seems like 3 or 4 inches makes a big difference versus over a 7-foot rod. So that's something you want to fish. You can fish these frogs around. What I love about them is, like, I'll get to a brush pile or treetop where I can't throw my gunfish, I can throw the frog. So if them fish are on top water, that's why you want to have both of them tied on, you guys, because I'd rather have the gunfish tied on because I got open hooks. But when I get in a really thick cover and I can't throw that, I can walk this popping frog just like I can the gunfish around treetops, cover, brush, whatever, and still even the sparse mats and stuff like that, and get bit and catch those fish. So that's something you want to have tied on too. And, you know, of course, the good old jackhammer, that's been working real good. But you know, in the month of July, June, July, August, and even through the fall, it's just a bait you want to have tied on, you guys. If you're not throwing a jackhammer, I mean, I am not sponsored by them at all, but I pretty much have quit buying any of the other brand baits. I just love that jackhammer. They cost more, but I'm telling you, they just catch more fish. To me, they got more vibration in them, a harder vibration, and it's got a good hook in it, and I just catch more fish on it. I got more confidence in it, so that's what I throw all the time. I've got a video where you can, a lot of times these things come in just, like a shad pattern will just come in a nickel blade. I go blade on it, stuff like that. I got a video out there that I've done where I show you how you can change these blades without messing up your bait on the jackhammer. I think it's like it's called a jackhammer hack. But anyways, I got that video in my videos. I'll put a gold one on here, and they really like it. A lot of times in cloudy days, even on windy days, seem like that gold would do better because the reflection that's throwing down there in the water. But gold's always been good. And of course, sometimes it's a nickel blade. I've got a fluke tied on this one, or rigged up on this one, you guys. And reason I do is because sometimes in real clear water or more calmer days, that tighter wiggle, it seems like it catches more fish versus have a paddle tail on there. Now, I will experiment with that, and you guys will want to do the same thing. So don't think that, because I've had guys out on guide trips where one of us will be throwing the straight tail, and then somebody will be throwing a paddle tail, and the guy with the paddle tail will be catching all the fish, or vice versa. The guy with the straight tail will be catching all the fish. So you got to mess around with that. Even though you think you're throwing the same bait, don't think that changing that tail won't change that bait, because it does change that bait, you guys. So you got to keep that in mind. I like throwing this on probably 17 or 20 pound test Seaguar fluorocarbon, and I'll throw it on most of the time, but either a 7-foot or a 7.3, depends on how long the cast I may be making. If I'm making a real long cast, I'll go to that 7.3 pound rod. If I'm making a shorter cast, more targeted around docks, around trees, around stumps, where I got to be more precise with my cast, I'll go to that 7-foot rod, because I can I'm accurate, and you can skip this bait too. So you can skip it underneath the docks and stuff like that. I've done well with it in different parts of the country, fishing this where we have a lot of docks and stuff and skipping it. So that is going to be a bait you guys want to have tied on. It's just so natural looking. It's inline. And again, this is a jackhammer by Evergreen. It just catches them, you guys. So that's the bait that I will have tied on in July. And last but not least is going to be plastics, okay? I will wacky rig these things. This is just a regular Cinco style bait. I've got an O-ring on it, you guys. I put a 1-inch finishing nail. Now, I go to the hardware store. That's nothing but just a nail, okay? It's not a lead weight or anything like that, you guys. It's not expensive. You can go to Walmart, hardware stores, it's any place that sells hardware and buy them. Now, I'm telling you, I've worked on this for years. The 1-inch is the ticket, because what happens is that bait has got buoyancy in the plastic, and as it's falling, because you got a hook on it, I don't go too big of a hook, because a hook will override your buoyancy, makes it fall straight down, and override the nail too. I usually use a number 2 Nico hook's what I use, and it works perfect because it's not too heavy, but it's a strong enough hook where I get a big fish that I'm going to hook him and get him in the boat. So what's going on with this bait is I've got that smaller hook on there with that nail weight in there. As it falls, it don't want to fall straight down. It will actually, that weight is enough to make it fall this way in the water, you guys. It's more of a gliding action, okay? Kind of like a paper airplane when it's coming down. So, and that's just lifelike action. Don't overfish this bait. Don't underfish it. You gotta get that action. I have guys out on the boat with me all the time. They've never fished it. Guys who have fished it, they're sitting there casting them. Guys who haven't, they're trying to drag it too far, trying to drag this bait 2-3 feet at a time. You can't do that. It's just 4 or 5 inches at a time. Let it flutter. 4 or 5 inches, let it flutter. You gotta make it look natural, you guys. These fish are out there hunting, and they're not out there wanting you to catch them, but they're out there hunting, and if you show them something that looks natural to them, you will catch your fish. So one other tip real fast is when I'm rigging that hook, I see different guys with different opinions on this. I see a lot of guys saying rigging it towards the tail, the point going in towards the tail, but the way I wish I had a hook longer, but the way I look at it, when a fish comes down on that hook is not going to be exposed to that fish's mouth when he comes down on it. I always rig it from the back side going in towards the head of the Cinco. That way that hook's sticking up like that. That way when the fish comes in, he's got an open hook, you set the hook, a better hook up. So that's something you want to pay attention to, because it can matter. Because the thing is, you're using that 2-aught hook too, and a lot of times that hook will get, if you got it rigged in the other way, where it's going to the back and he comes in and the hook's this way, okay, and he comes in, he's going to push that bait into his mouth, or ball up, and the worm will get caught up like that, and then the hook will go into the worm. Next thing you know, you miss your fish or lost your fish, you bring in your worms rigged up like that, and that's because it's simply the way you had that hook rigged. If you will rig it going towards the head of it, it's going to be more open. You're going to better initial strike on that fish. You're going to hook him, and having an exposed hook, when you set the hook, it's going to go into the roof of his mouth, and it's going to increase your catches big time by any time you're wacky rigging, guys. And I'm not just using Cincos. I use, different size worms. I don't have a ring around this, but I'll do the same thing. I'll put a 1-inch nail in that and just stick the hook through it. Just play around with it, you guys. With like a mag trick worm, stuff like that. Any of those straight tail worms these companies make can catch fish in different colors. I usually go with, maybe more natural colors if on a clear sunny day, and then on cloudy days I may go to some more with chartreuse and stuff like that. But if you can pick out one color to start out to learn to use this bait, start out with green pumpkin, because it's going to catch fish, and I'll dip that tail in some chartreuse dye, and that's just going to catch fish. I don't care where you're at in the entire United States. But anyway, guys, this is my suggestions for July, fishing around grass beds, around shallow water fishing and stuff like that. I know all you guys love to fish offshore. I do too. Just don't enjoy a lot of the company you get out there, because there's just too many boats out there on some of these smaller lakes. But sometimes you just got to do that. But if you want to go fish shallow, get away from the crowd, you guys, I'm telling you what, here's some baits you need for July. Good fishing to you. You guys, I appreciate it if you subscribe for me. Leave a comment, like the video, share it, be great. Hey, if you see me on the water, see me out somewhere, give me a shout. It's good talking to you guys and good fishing. Thanks.